Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Eid is upon us. We have to know the lessons behind the Eid so that we know the importance of what we are into. Everything we do in Islam has a reason why we are doing it. The Eid al-Adha, which is coming up, inshallah, in about 6 or 7 days, also has a reason why we do it. We cannot talk about the Eid without talking about Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam. Ibrahim remains a great role model for us Muslims and even for the entire human race. Ibrahim was a true servant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We know the story told in the Quran about how he wanted to sacrifice his son for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because he was asked to do so. And because of his strong faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he was willing to comply with the commandment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ransomed the son and replaced him with a ram. Today we all commemorate that incident, the incident of replacing the son of Ibrahim, Ismail, with a ram. So Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam had great faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He went through a lot of trials. And today we also need to learn the lesson of being patient when we are going through a tough time, a trying time. We all know what is happening in Nigeria today, in our country and in many other countries of the world. People are experiencing some tough moments and all that. And then we need to learn the lesson of being strong even in the face of a trial. We need to learn the lesson of putting our faith in Allah. Wallahi, the biggest lesson we can learn from the story of Eid al-Adha is the story of having a very strong faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah tells us in the Quran that he tested Ibrahim. And then if you study the story of Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam, Allah actually tested him in so many ways. Allah tested him through his wives. Allah tested him through even his father. Allah tested him through his son when he was asked to sacrifice his only son. He had just one son at that time, and then Allah asked him to sacrifice the son. He was willing to do so before Allah ransomed the child and then replaced him with a ram. We also need to learn that lesson of having faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What are you going through now? Are you barren? People are mocking you, right? And then you think that that's it. Have a good relationship with him. Honestly, beyond all the festivities, beyond all the celebrations that we do have on the 10th day of Dhul Hijjah, which is the day on which we celebrate the Eid al-Adha, is a reminder to us that we need to have a very strong relationship with Allah. We need to have faith in him. We need to be ready to sacrifice anything for his sake. Is it money that you have? Use it to support Allah. It's about loving your family. Ibrahim loved his family. He was worried that Allah asked him to sacrifice his son at a point because he asked his son, Allah has asked me to do so. Allah has asked me to sacrifice you. And the boy, being a good son, said, my father, do what Allah has asked you to do. And the father was willing to support, was willing to carry out, to go ahead with what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had asked him to do. But what did Allah do at the end of the day? Allah brought light at the end of the tunnel. The same thing can be said about your own story too. Your story that you think is sour today is unpalatable, can be turned around, and that sour story will become a sweet and pleasant one. So the biggest story, the biggest lesson that we can learn from Eid al-Adha is the need for us to have faith in Allah. Today, begin to build a relationship with Allah. Tell him that you love him. Tell him that you want to build a relationship with him. Be willing to give whatever that it takes to love him and to support his cause.